You see his shirt? He came in with bars this morning. He got the shirt. We are recording right now. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. That's right. Bro, that's starting off the morning right. All I got is a Pistons hat.
Hey, I mean that is what it is.
It is what it
Because
is.
it is what
Hey,
it is.
I like it though, man. I like it, man. That's how we roll. But hey, let's get it started. Welcome to the Woodward Pistons Podcast. As always, my name is Detroit Kool-Aid, and I'm joined by Mr. Everything over here, Jeffrey Iyer Freddie.
Yes, sir.
And let's get this thing drummed up, because we got some business. We got the legend, man. Hey, you guys see it, man. He's rocking a shirt. Woo! He came prepared today. I like that. I like it. But gentlemen, how was your 4th of July weekend?
How was yours, Rod?
Outstanding. I had a bucket list item. Actually, it's right here. I'm a big Prince fan, so I did the Paisley Park tour. My wife got it for me for our anniversary, and we just couldn't find the time to go. But we said, hey, 4th of July, we'll get some plane tickets. Let's go. So we did the tour of the studios and all the Prince stuff there. So it was a big weekend to be able to do all of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, for me, I was going to go up north with my family, but I chose to stay back. Sunday, I had a family party, which was a lot of fun. Drank more. I'm not really a big drinker, but listen, I kind of let it loose a little bit on Sunday. But I had Monday, though, Rod, to recover. All right, we had Monday off, so I got to chill out Monday.
He made it in. He's maturing before our eyes, Rod.
That's what I'm saying. That's not quite what we had last time. This is an improvement. This is growth. It's growth.
It's growth.
Yeah. And then, you know what, Monday chilled out, but really I was looking forward to these Pistons Summer League games, man. Like, I was watching a little bit of Summer League, but just to have some Pistons basketball back, it's exciting.
Oh, yeah, man. It really starts to get the blood boiling, man. I'm just sitting here like, let's get it, man. More basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And more importantly, more Pistons basketball. It's on the way. But let me see here. Rod, look, before we get into Summer League, I know that there was a big announcement at the Detroit News concerning the Pistons and the new beat writer. If you wanted to just take a minute to speak on it, man, definitely introduce him a little bit. Obviously, we don't have him on, but just to make sure our audience is aware and clued in.
Oh no, it's Mike Curtis is the new beat writer, and we went through an extensive process, and we had some good candidates. I think I joked before that we had 160 people who applied for the position, but there were some really good candidates, and it came down to the very end, and Mike just really excelled all the way through the process. And awesome. He comes from Syracuse. He's originally from Saginaw, so he's a Michigan guy. But Michigan. He's been up in Syracuse covering the Syracuse basketball and football, and just a good guy, very humble, very down to earth, very excited to learn and get into the NBA and get his first pro shot. So we're excited to have him.
Hey, definitely. Hey, welcome.
Yes.
Look, back to the city.
We'll get him on the podcast. We'll get him on the podcast. We'll get him on the podcast.
You got it, man. I just shot him a foul yesterday, and I love that, man. When you have guys that are from Michigan that cover the Pistons, it's a different perspective. That's why I appreciate it, man, so much. He's going to do a great job. Yeah. He really is.
I look forward to it, because who honestly is more critical of their teams, honestly, than the people who really grew up rooting for it? And with the eras that we went through, it's not like we just grew up like, yay, we're cheerleaders for the team. No, we were ripping these moves. If they had to be ripped, we were. Rod, I know that your inbox looked crazy, man. It's not like people are just sitting up just being homers, even though you got those. And so, he strikes me as one that's going to really put his all into covering this team, but bring fair and objectionable coverage. And I look forward to it.
No, that's exactly it, is that he's a journalist. He's not just a fanboy or anything like that. He is a journalist who will ask the hard questions and just get in there and mix it up. And that's what one of the things I liked about him in the process is that, especially in Zoom times too, you don't the first interview that he showed up for, he had on a suit and a tie. And I'm like, bro, this is a Zoom first interview, but he's prepared. He had
like that.
Yeah, I can say this. Just in the process, you know how at the end you say, hey, do you have any questions for us? bro had like 10 questions
True
for us.
journalist.
He had more questions for us than we had for him in the initial kind of stages, because it's really a feeling out process. But he just had a load of questions and stuff, and that's the preparation that you want to see, is that when he gets to a press conference, he's not going to just sit there and twiddle his thumbs. He's going to ask a bunch of questions and learn as he goes along the way.
Hey, that's important. That's really important,
Yeah,
especially when you're
time.
out there representing, to some degrees the team and its public relations, but obviously the team that you rock with. Shout out to Detroit News, and shout out Woodward Pistons and Woodward Sports. But let's get into this summer league, because I had an interesting text exchange with Mr. Jeffrey Iafredi over here yesterday, and it was funny. All right, look, he's so ready for summer league that he wants to tell everybody this morning that it doesn't matter.
Oh, well,
I don't understand it, Rod.
I didn't say it doesn't matter, Rod. I said I think people take too much out of summer league, and for me personally, I like to look at things that'll translate. Like I want to see things a player can do that'll translate. I think people get so wrapped up in simply looking at box scores or looking at players and saying, "Hey, this guy, he's got next, man. You see how he's balling in summer league." So I kind of,
Jeff is a summer league hater.
I was feeling like a savage a little bit yesterday, Rod. I tweeted out the Henry Ellenson stats during his summer league. I get the percentages. Didn't have great percentages, but 15 and 7. He was leading scorer that year on the summer league team. I think it was Bruce Brown behind him. And like you said, look at Bruce Brown, the second scorer behind him. And I think we can all say Bruce Brown turned into the best player. So
yeah, didn't get that contract, 2 years, 13 mil?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what my point was, is kind of preparing Pistons fans. Like, look, whether Jaden Ivey comes out and shoots 4 for 15, I don't think that really matters to me. It more so has to do with the fact, because you already know how the Twitter's going to be. Keegan Murray comes out hot, doesn't have a great second game, has a good third game, and then Jaden Ivey doesn't have, let's say, the first 2 games he doesn't play well. Everyone's going to be like, man, should have took Keegan. And that's what frustrates me. So I was kind of just prepping people a little bit. So I shot Brandon here a text just saying, like, listen, man, I maybe it's just me, but I'm looking forward to the summer league, but I'm not, gonna have my eyeballs wrapped around it. Like, this is the end all be all. There's still plenty left. It's just looking at things that'll translate, man.
He's preaching the truth there. He's preaching the truth. I know. I wanted to start off a little funny with it, man, just to mess with him.
This man says it doesn't matter. I'm like, well, I mean, they get on the NBA floor. It matters, but
yeah, no, I mean, we all know that it matters, and that's what I want to start with first. Is why does it matter? What are we looking for? What can we take away from this? What can we keep? With Jaden Ivey in particular. What are we looking to see out of Jaden Ivey? Are we looking to see, for me personally, I'll start. I'm looking to see what his ball handling and his playmaking is looking like, more so than his shot, more so than his athleticism, more so than the things that we believe he has kind of down pat. I want to see more or less his ball handling and his playmaking, and see what he can do really leading this team. I don't believe we should be seeing Cade and Sadiq and Beef Stew and those guys playing heavy minutes, if any minutes at all. So the show really is Jaden Ivey's to run. So Jeff,
I want to see the speed, man, and that's one thing that's talked about a lot, is Jaden Ivey, his speed with the ball, especially in his hands in transition. I think those things are going to translate, obviously. So I would like to see him on a court with a bunch of guys that want to make NBA rosters. What does Jaden Ivey look like amongst, because you want to see, like, Sadiq Bey didn't shoot very well percentage-wise his first summer league, but he still looked like a man amongst boys. Like, shots just weren't falling. I think that's something you can take away. So Jaden Ivey, you mentioned it, the ball handling, the playmaking. I would say just getting to the basket. Like, if you can get to the basket in summer league effortlessly, you're going to be fine translating to the league. When you're playing against 7-footers and guys who've been in the league for a while. So I think those are really the two things to hit on. But before you answer, Rod, I do want to ask you, because just to clear up some stuff, why is Cade and Sadiq on this listed on the summer league team? Like, are they playing, and how much will they play?
Well, they couldn't practice without being on the roster. So only people on the summer league roster can be in these practices. So that's what they were sort of geared toward, is even if they don't play, or they play very small minutes, it's just these practices leading up to it that they wanted to get Cade on the court with him and start to see him running through some sets with some guys who know the sets. Because if you just get a regular summer league roster with no experience, you've got to teach them the plays and install the sets. You want people who can point out and say, hey, you're over here, you're up, I'm back, I got you, the terminology, hear that out on the court. So I think that's the main reason that they wanted those guys to be there.
Yep, and start that chemistry a little bit early as well. This team is very, very young. and the hierarchy. You know, it's very easy for these new draft picks to come in, and you want them to go at full pace. But with the ways that we know Cade Cunningham is going to lead this team and the ways that they're trying to build around him, it's very important to have his face down there, you know, in the middle of everything that's going on. And being able to help Jaden Ivey along, because who knows what's going on in Jaden Ivey's mind? Who knows if he's sitting here thinking I have to, you know, take a step back as it relates to Cade or this. I think Cade's the type of guy who's going to say, bro, go out there and eat.
Yeah,
go out there and do yours and be you, and just be able to help him and navigate him more or less through some of the rigors and the ups and downs and the bumps of what it is to be an NBA player. You know, I don't see there being any aspects of clash or egos or anything. Just the way that Jaden Ivey came into this Pistons organization, you can see that all he wants to do is give his all. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, exactly what he's going to be honing in. I'm interested to see how the Pistons are going to utilize him, because that's the one thing I don't know. I hear a lot of people compare him to Ja Morant, but I want to see, does he have more of that Dwayne Wade in him? I feel like his body type is a little bit more relatable, more that. His mid-range is nowhere near Dwayne Wade's, but I feel like his athleticism, the way he gets to the rack and things of that nature, it actually reminds me a little bit more of D-Wade, the way he can catch the lobs and the role that he might play on this team, being the secondary ball handler, being the off guard. That's more of the role he's going to play. And so I am curious to see how they're going to play him. Rod, do you have any insight into what you think they might do with Jaden Ivey?
Yeah. To the first question, I just want to see him feel like he belongs and fit and not just kind of stick out. And we've seen that before of guys who are just rushing too much, or just the adrenaline is there and they're doing too much, and the game is too fast for them at this level. But we saw with Cade head-to-head with Jalen Green in Summer League last year, didn't shrink in the moment, just really stood up to him. And then just the three-point barrage that he had in the other game, that was the sticker and the price tag that we saw in Cade and the advertising and the resume.
Everybody knew.
So, right, they knew, but you wanted to see signs that was there, and he could carry that. I think Jeff said transition. That's the word. You want those things to scale up to an NBA type game. But I think the way that they'll use him is they'll feature him. I want to see how he works off of Killian, and I think Killian is the biggest piece of this. I think he'll play a little bit more than maybe Sadiq and Cade and Stewart will. I think we might even see a little bit of Stewart. Now, I don't have any inside info on that, but I think that they want to see him at the 4, and maybe you'll see some of him and Jalen Duren at the same time to see how he plays at the 4. I think that's just something they want to get some film on and see what that looks like, and if he's able to make that transition. Because I mean, they've got 17 centers now, according to Twitter. But now they've got to figure out ways that these guys can mesh and fit. But I think that the Jaden Ivey stuff is just so important that he comes out. It's not the deer in headlights. He gets to the rack. He finishes a couple of times, and if he shows that he has any kind of perimeter game, I think that's just a plus at this point.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be an interesting thing with Jaden Ivey. With Jalen Duren, I feel like there's obviously less pressure as it relates to the pick and the other, how the other prospects are doing. Obviously, nobody's caring if Chet goes off, if Duren goes off as well. You know, it's a little bit different pressure with him stepping out there on the court. But I still want to see him go out there and attack like he wants to be amongst those. Like, for me personally, when I look at Jalen Duren, it's similar to what Rod was saying as it relates to Jaden Ivey. I want to see Jalen Duren go out there and feel disrespected that he fell that far. I want to see him play like he belongs. I want to see him go out there and say, no, I'm the best center out here. There was no better center prospect, and I just want to see him play with that tenacity, that tenacious just defense. I want to see him be a little bit more I don't want to say alert. I believe he was very alert, but there were just certain parts of his defense around the rim that I want to see him really, 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 as a paint protector, just go hard at it. I just want to see him attack it very, 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 like it's the only thing that he's trying to do out there. I know that he has some other skills as it relates to with the mid-range shot, that 16-footer, 17-footer. I do want to see if he can step that out a little bit, just kind of selfishly. But most importantly, we haven't seen an absolute dog in the paint. I think Beef Stew is the closest we've had since, we've had that kind of Ben Wallace, maybe Jason Maxill, those guys who were going after everything. And I believe Jalen Duren with his size, with his athleticism, with his reach, with his length, with what we saw in college, and the belief that this team has in him, I believe he can be that guy.
Yeah.
And so same thing with Jaden Ivey. Want to get you guys' thoughts on, what you're looking for out of him and how you believe the Pistons may try to look to utilize him in summer league.
For Jalen Duren, I think it's the physicality, like obviously his build. I mean, the youngest player in the draft, man. He's a grown man. How he's built. So I'm excited to see him out there in the summer league. Number one, because he's going to be playing with lesser talent. So you boost the same with Killian. I mean, it'll boost their confidence. But with Jalen Duren, it's really the other things, like you talked about, the rim protection, the second chance points, offensive rebounds. Like I want to see him out there just being a menace. A man amongst boys, if you will. So that's kind of what I'm looking for Jalen Duren. It's more of the physical part of the game for him. Like, I do want to see him score. I do want to see him take those 15-footers, show things. That's why Beef Stew is another one. Like, I want to see him out there shooting threes. Like, I could care less. Like, the Kings won the Summer League last year, and they're 2-0. What are they, 3-0 this year? Like, that, I could care less about the wins and losses. I just want to see the progression. I think Jalen Duren's one of those guys that by the end of the Summer League, we all might be saying he might be more ready than we think. Not that you could take a lot, but physically, does he look like he belongs, like Rod said? And I think that's what I'm going to be looking for out of Jalen Duren, being the youngest player in the draft for me personally.
That's a good point. Rod, we need your take on Jalen Duren. Obviously it's a player that we talked about a lot, and it's a player we have. Now I'm sitting here, and it just obviously is going to present a lot more questions as we look forward to what he's going to be in this league. But what are you looking for from Jalen Duren?
I just want to see a post presence on both sides of the ball. I want to see him guard the paint effectively, not get in foul trouble, but to be able to move his feet, to be there as an offensive option, a lob option, just the hood rat things that he and Jaden Ivey can do if they connect that way. But I mean, more so, again, I think this is the big linchpin, and this is going to tell you if they're going to have a really good summer league or maybe just a good summer league, is if Killian plays extensively, then Killian is or Jaden Ivey is playing off of Killian. That you're running some crazy pick and roll stuff with Jalen Duren and Killian. If you see a lot of Killian, then I think that says they want to really try to feature him a little bit more. But you can see so much more of what Ivey can do, and you can see so much more of what Duren can do. If you don't have Killian, it can still work. I don't know who plays point guard on that roster, but I mean, they can, or maybe it's Saben Lee, and you get a good dose of Saben Lee. But
Saben Lee, yeah.
Yeah, I think you can see some really good stuff if they give you a more than a spoonful of Killian Hayes.
Yeah, with Killian Hayes, that's an interesting one. That's probably other than our draft picks, I think that's the most important Piston to me in summer league.
In summer league,
a player.
I think he's the linchpin to this whole thing. I'm more excited about what Killian can show, and if he can be. Like Sadiq last year looked like he just didn't belong. Like, why is this 18-year-old dude out here playing with middle school kids? That's how it felt. That's how it felt with Sadiq last year. That's how I want Killian to be this year. Maybe not from an attacking and scoring.
Yeah, and did you guys see what Ashton the trainer tweeted out?
No, I didn't.
Yo, he stated that Killian Hayes, he said he's looking crazy. He says it's scary hours. So it's getting me excited. Like I said, I want to temper everybody's expectations of whatever happens in summer league. Listen to Jeff. Don't be like Kool-Aid, because I love summer league, man. I love summer league.
And I do too, man. It's an exciting time.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Killian Hayes is going to be. I really am, man. I want to see if Killian is going to come in and look like he belongs. That's the thing. I believe your phrase is, what are they asked to do? And what Rod has brought to the conversation more than anything is, do they belong? And that's what we've all, I think, more than questioning Killian's talent, we've questioned things like his intangibles, like his confidence.
Yep.
And that stems from that, do they belong? This is the time where he's going to go out here and he's going to be playing that American-style basketball where this is almost as close to professional, like, fives as you can get, run as you can get. It's a tournament style. It's a bunch of hungry people who do not want to lose, who are trying to take your spot. They're trying to say you don't belong. This is that time for Killian. Go out here. This is your full off season. Take advantage of it. And I do want to see him. I kind of forgot about that. I didn't know which way they were going to play Killian, if they were going to give him a whole bunch of time. But if they give him that time to just go out there and prove that he's that guy, I can see how it changes a little bit of my outlook on Jaden Ivey in his summer league. But I think that right now that is a little bit more important to see what Killian's going to be and what is he going to do, how is he going to respond, how is he going to lead. Because Killian, honestly, as a sixth man, like not just a sixth man that we're like, well, let's just stick him there. I mean a guy who actually takes command of it, somebody who could be starting. I'm not saying he's going to be better than Cade or Jaden Ivey, but somebody who could be starting on another team, but takes this six-man role. I'm excited for it, man. You know,
no. What if they just roll out there and they put Cade, Killian, or Cade or Killian, Jaden Ivey, Cade, Sadiq, and Stu as the starters for that first game, and then I mean later after that you don't need to see anymore. But maybe you see Killian, Ivey, and then you start seeing some of these other guys mix in. So Casey's going to like those 3-guard lineups, but if he rolls out there with Killian, Cade, Ivey, Stewart, and Bay, that's just like, what kind of summer league team is that? That could be their flipping.
That's their
that could be
NBA
their flipping
team.
regular season starters. But I think that's just what they want to see, is what the chemistry in that looks like. I want to see Buddy Boeheim too, their new two-way guy, and see what kind of 3-point shooting he has.
Yeah,
and
the two-way contract.
Yeah, so there's a lot to look at with this summer league team to say, how much are they going to play their core guys, but then how much do they bring some of these other guys out there as the reserves and playing heavy minutes, and just to give them a look and see what they've got. I think all of that stuff is important. I mean, Isaiah Livers, that we've completely passed over guys like that who didn't get a chance to play last year. And Dwayne Casey the other day was talking about Isaiah Stewart's never played in summer league. Isaiah Livers never played in summer league. This is a stacked roster that can do some crazy, crazy stuff. But again, it's just, you don't want to put Cade in harm's way in any kind of way. And so that's the decision that you're going to make there.
And even when they stop playing Sadiq and Cade, you still have Jaden Ivey and Killian. That's possibly that's going to be a lineup. Like, you get to see those guys play together. So that's also exciting to play, you know, Killian off ball, look at his shooting ability. How is it, you know, improved? And you get him on ball, you get to see Jaden Ivey off ball. So it's like a win-win. And then I also look at it like when you saw Killian last year against the OKC Thunder, when it was all their second, their bench players out there.
Like he belonged.
Man looked like he belonged because he was facing just lesser talent. His confidence was there. What do you have, like 20-something points, like almost a triple-double basically. That's what I'm excited to see. Killian Hayes now in the summer league. You're facing similar guys. So I'm really looking forward to the confidence with Killian Hayes. That's number one. And I want to ask you, Rod, personal question. Well, is my man from Italy playing? Because I saw he was in Vegas.
That was about to be the next question.
Because listen, just for personal
posted
reasons.
on the IG?
Yes, he did. I saw Jalen Duren was down there too, but I thought we were stashing him, but now he's there in Vegas. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, everything that I've heard is that he's not on the roster and they're not planning to but I mean, they can add to the roster. It's not completely full, and of course we know they're going to add Jalen Duren when that trade gets consummated, possibly even today. That's going to happen. So first game is tomorrow. So I mean, let's go. And I am going to Vegas because we just got Mike on board. So it's me pulling off the editor's hat and putting on the writer's cap one more time.
One more time, boy, for the legend. I like that.
What's
Jeff.
like one last dance?
Well, we got to get down there for like games 3, 4, and 5 just to mess with Rod.
Oh, for sure.
I'm only staying for games 1. I'm only going for the first 2 games. I'm not staying. Vegas is going to be 109 degrees by the end of the week.
It'll be a tag team. Like, Rod will be leaving, we'll be showing up. Like, we got you.
We'll see you at the airport. We'll have the whole drum corps and everything.
In the airport.
Yeah, I'll tap out at some point because 109 degrees is nothing to be played with.
It's different in Nevada, man. I mean,
that's crazy. Look, before we get on really quickly on why, like what needs to be discarded from Summer League, one more question here. Is the door closed on Killian Hayes still being a starter? Is the door closed on them running some crazy lineup if Killian proves to be whatever Troy thinks he can be of Jaden, Ivey, Killian, and Cade? I mean, you got 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" across the lineups. Yeah. But you know, how does that work out? Is Killian kind of locked into a 6-man role or is there any opportunity or chance for him to, based on his play, achieve a little bit more as it relates to starting?
Before Rod answers, I want to, because I've been making this comparison too. It's almost like when Marcus Smart was drafted. He didn't necessarily start in the beginning, but you see how important he is to the Celtics now. There's a chance, Killian, you can get to that point. I'm not going to say he'll never start. I just think it's more beneficiary to the team now if he doesn't start, because now you have a guy in your second unit that brings those tools Killian has defensively, offensively, that we seem to be lacking coming off the bench. So I think it's better right now if he's off the bench, but I think like Rod was mentioning earlier, there's different lineups you can throw out there during the game where Killian will be able to play with the starters. You just won't necessarily start, the game.
He'll get his minutes.
He'll get his minutes. Now, if he comes out, to what we were talking about, if he comes out and just looks like a completely different player, then of course I think there's a chance that Killian might see more minutes at the 3 this year. But who knows? It's really up to Killian and to see his improvement. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And Rod, just your perspective on it before we let Jeff tell us everything we need to discard, why everything we just talked about was trash and all that.
No, I think maybe that ship has sailed on Killian being a starter, but Dwayne Casey will tell you in 2 seconds, it's not who starts, it's who finishes the game. And I think that's what's important here is having the flexibility to say, if you want to go Cade Killian as a defensive backcourt to finish a game, you're comfortable doing that. If you want to go Alec Burks because you need shooting with Cade, you can do that. Injuries, you kind of struggled sometimes to fill the backcourt if you didn't have that. Now with Cade, with Killian, with Alec Burks, with Jaden Ivey, you give yourself so much flexibility to play different types of backcourts, and you can do a 3-man backcourt, 3-guard rotation there too. So a lot of different ways. And I think this is how they want the roster to be, is that they don't have to be one specific thing. So you got a Nerlens, you got a Isaiah Stewart, you got a Jalen Duren, that you can play different ways with this group. A Kelly Olynyk who can play 4 or 5 for you. This is the flexibility they wanted, and to have some perimeter options as well as some defensive options in there.
And you're right. They've been saying this all along, that they want their guards interchangeable. When they had Killian and Cade, they said, look, we want them to play both positions. When they had Jeremy Grant and Sadiq Bey, they said, we want these guys to be interchangeable, 3-4s. We want the guards to be interchangeable at the 1, 2, potentially 3. They stress a lot about these guys being able to play off ball, knowing how to shoot, being in catch and shoot situations, because it does matter. You're not just going to be stuck in a corner. They'll just be there all game. But it matters to how these players play. And with Killian, selfishly, I'm hoping he plays well enough to command a starting role, but has bought in well enough to realize these championship teams have 3-guard rotations. That's what they have. It's the backcourt on a championship team or on a really, really good contending team should never be looked at as who's the starters. It shouldn't. On all of our championship teams as Pistons fans, we can look at the backup guards and say, sometimes guards, both of them, and say, wow, look at Lindsey Hunter and Mike James.
Even this finals, you have Derek White for the Celtics and you have Jordan Poole for the Warriors. 2 really good guards off the bench.
Yeah, we had people really complaining about Sean Livingston for the OG Warriors.
Yeah.
When they won their first championship. These things matter. It really does. I hoping that Killian goes out here and, like we all said, just to say it one more time, confidence. Show that you belong, man. But what should we discard? Anything?
I like it. No, see, you guys bring you guys. I'm not worried about you guys because you guys know how to look at it from both sides. It's really, if you came in here and said, "Man, Jaden Ivey tonight, he's gonna eat, he's gonna go off," and then I'm gonna sit here and tweet out tomorrow morning, Jaden Ivey's going to be a superstar. Then I'd ask you to chill out.
Ivey got 20
stop drinking that. Stop drinking that Kool-Aid. But no pun intended, by the way. But no, you guys are fine. I mean. It's not about you. It's about Pistons Twitter, genuinely. Yeah, so and other Twitters, too. Sacramento Twitter, specifically, as well. Sacramento Twitter's
what you got for his
nutcase over there.
No, I think it's if he scores 20, it's not that he scores 20, it's how he scores 20. If it's 20 with 4 3-pointers and a couple of lob dunks from Killian, then that's something to be really excited about, that he's expanding his game. Mm-hmm. So you just want to see what it looks like in the end, and just how if it's a bunch of free throws because he got to the line, and pressuring the defense that way, that's something you can take away from it too. So I think it's just looking at how it happens, not that it happens.
Yeah, how it translates. And Roger said on a bunch of things that'll translate. So that's number one for me, man. It's seeing Jaden Ivey's game. What parts of his game come the regular season can you see him mimic? And you just named all of them: the free throw shooting, getting to the basket, being aggressive, even his shooting ability. Like for what his knock was, if he comes out and he was 3 for 4 from 3 his first game, like we're all going to be like impressive, you know.
And he's a rhythm shooter. I think people need to understand that it's okay when he goes 1 of 7 for a game. He's a rhythm shooter. The more and more I look at his game, similar to Sadiq Bey, with the ability, though, I've seen to be one of those knockdown shooters, too, if he continues to work at it. Those are the types of guys that when they get busy, lights out.
Yeah, nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. And so, yeah, you live with that. And Summer League is a time where you can see those types of guys go 1 for 7 on threes, but you can tell he had complete command of this game. Then there's times where you can see a guy go 3 of 5 from 3, but you can tell he legitimately was just catching and shooting wide open. He was just taking shooting drill. And in the Summer League, 5 threes is 5 attempts is very easy to get to. And so, hey, definitely, we want to see expectations tempered based on if he goes out there and pops off for 25 or if he goes out there and gets 5.
Yeah.
If he has command of the game, if he looks like he has a feel for the game, if he looks like he's taking advantage of space.
Yeah,
you definitely.
If he looks good out there and he gets me 13, I'll be like, man, I like Jaden Ivey. Like I like what I'm seeing out of him. It's not necessarily the points.
But man, I don't know how prepared or unprepared I am for the overreactions. I don't know. Like I'm just sitting here like, man.
You always got to prepare.
Rod over there looking like he's just second guessing.
Rod's been through it, man. Rod every single season's been through it.
First 2 games.
I know how this is going to work. This is just going to be, hey, Isaiah Livers hits 5 threes. All right, well, he needs to start at small forward. But that's just what this is that this lineup is so chock full of guys that you want to see different things from. Can Saban be a little bit more stable? Can Balsa Koprivica, the second round pick from last year, does he look like the highlights in the Twitter stuff that he's posted? That maybe he's that. Is he a guy who can come and play for the Crews this year and be effective? I think those are the types of questions.
For him, man. They saw that one dunk, and they're like, yo, let him play this year.
Let him go. Let's go.
They're ready. They're ready. But free agency, man. And I'm glad that we're doing this now because we get to see the waves of everybody's emotions and everybody's, what's going on and such. And it's just like, man, come on, guys. What are we talking about? We said if we re-signed Marvin Bagley, it would look something similar to what it looked like. We thought that the price could get driven up. This was not a driven up price, guys. It could you potentially say it's slightly a little more than you're comfortable with, or than you want to give them? Not that you're comfortable with. I'm very comfortable with the deal, but is it slightly more than you want to do? Maybe. I don't know. Like I saw a lot of people complaining about this. As we get into our free agency outlook and what we should be, focusing on from here. I just wanted to start with that, man. Did you guys think Marvin Bagley was, a consequential overpay?
No, absolutely not, man. I mean, isn't the mid-level exception, Rod, like $11 million?
Yeah, something like that.
So 10, he made 11. Basically $1.5 million over the mid-level exception yearly.
It almost seems like just a respect move out of Troy. Like,
absolutely.
You know what?
And I'm not going to be $12.5 million for a guy who can give me 15 and 8 off the bench, whether he's starting, whether he's off the bench, whatever it is. And if defensively he can get better, that's value right there, man. Like, and I get when he came to Detroit, he looked more motivated. I get the stats were similar to what he put up in Sacramento, but he just looked like a different player. I don't know how to explain it. Just watching him, he looked a lot happier, obviously.
Yeah, the role. Asked to do.
Exactly, what he was asked to do. So I think now giving him the money, you got security. He knows I'm not in a situation where I have to play for my job. I can just get comfortable and just get free buckets. Play free. So, no, I don't think it was an overpay. And for 3 years, I mean, in 3 years, he'll be, 20, still mid-20s? Like, I'm cool with that. Definitely. It wasn't an overpay.
But here's the thing. He's the second highest paid player on the team, behind Kelly Olynyk. What are we talking about with an overpay? And even still, it's a very movable contract.
Yep.
If something doesn't work out or if they want to go in a different direction, very movable at 12.5. That you can come off of that. You can throw it in a trade. You can do whatever you want to do. I think they like him and they're going to want to keep him for those 3 years. But if the tide winds change, then I mean, whatever. That it's 12.5. It's not 22 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lou Dort made 18 He signed for 18.
Yep.
What are we talking about with overpays? Marvin Bagley is a nice big man that other teams would have had interest in. And yeah.
I got that tweet right in the note.
Yeah, he just showed me your tweet about Lou Dort.
Questioning Pistons salaries, considering that Lou Dort just signed a deal that will make him the highest paid Detroit player by about $5 million a year. Yeah. That's wild,
18
man.
annually for Lou Dort.
And of course, people said, who is that? Who is Lou Dort? So if you're asking that question, Lou Dort is probably worth that. The market kind of dictated that's what he should have been getting. But I mean, other guys like Malik Monk, those are guys that would be the highest paid Piston right now. If you put that in context, so you can't tell me that any of this is an overpay. What did you want to pay him? 8, 9? Yeah, you'd be talking about him being on some other team right now.
Yeah, 8, 9. Nah. Some other teams giving him at least a mid-level, man. 11.
Yeah. For this is a situation, man. People gotta chill if you think it's an overpay. Look, let us know in the comments what you think about the Marvin Bagley deal. 3 years, $37 million. Do you think it's an overpay? The Kevin Knox deal, 2 years, $6 million. The reason why that's interesting is because of what I'm seeing some other verified accounts in New York's Twitter saying, and they're stating that there is talent there with Kevin Knox, and some of them are saying that they believe it could be a steal. They think that the culture of the Knicks, some of what we were stating, could have had some effect on these players.
Wow,
I don't
really?
know. Yeah, I don't know
really?
how much
the Knicks. Never. I just ruined your whole flow there, man.
It's funny, man, because it's true. You don't expect to see that, like, their media come out and be like, there might be still something to these guys.
Yeah.
Don't write them off. 2 years and $6 million? Like, what?
That's dirt cheap, man.
That's dirt cheap. And people are saying he can shoot. I saw he looks excited to come here. I saw him on Twitter, posting, Detroit basketball and all that stuff. He looks excited to come here. I know that he played on the championship team in college with Hamidou Diallo.
Yep, Kentucky.
Hamidou Diallo. So, I don't know what we're going to expect out of him. I don't really know what to expect out of him. I know we talked about maybe a little bit of shooting, a little bit of a veteran presence. But 2 years, $6 million, I can't really complain about that at all. Anything on Kevin Knox, Rod? That's just it is what it is.
It's just more flexibility. I mean, just and it's a reclamation on if you're looking at an Nerlens Noel and seeing what could still be there. Kevin Knox isn't bad. If you're gonna nitpick about things, maybe the Pistons took too many Knicks guys. If you're looking at Burks and Noel and Knox, that if the Knicks didn't find the right use for them, maybe the Pistons see a way that they can fit in their roster with the right kind of things surrounding them. Yeah. But I mean, that's a nitpicky sort of thing. Yeah. But still, these are guys that you're not paying a lot of money for. You took on some cap to kind of balance this out and prepare yourself for next year in free agency. So this is just kind of hey, let's have some pieces in place. But again, all of these are movable contracts. This is not something that people should be worried about, whether Kevin Knox was the right signing. It's 2 and 6. I mean, that's essentially that's less than Frank Jackson's money. So what are we doing? What are we talking about?
No, I think people in a way look too much into it. Like me personally, when I first saw the deal get done, my first reaction was I would like more shooting. I get Kevin Knox can hit shots. What is he, 34% career three-point shooter? So he can, there's still room to improve there. But when I actually looked at it and you saw the amount he's getting paid, 2 for 6, like Rod said, and you need depth, you need wings. So that was a need for the Pistons as well. So he fits the needs. And I kind of look at it and I would reference Josh Jackson, because you signed Josh Jackson to that cheap contract, not as cheap as 2 for 6, but you got him for a relatively cheap deal. And then he plays well. You flip him for Marvin Bagley with Trey Lyles. Like this, I think there's a bigger part to this plan. Like, yes, even if Kevin Knox, like if he doesn't play well, you're paying him $3 million, and like Rod said, you can get rid of him. If he plays well, you can use him as an asset, or if he plays really well, you can keep him. So there's so many options there. That's why the word flexibility is like, I always say it's like the word of this offseason for Troy Weaver. Like that's the
flexibility and value.
Flexibility and value. So I love what the Pistons did, man. No complaints from me.
Yeah, none at all. The only thing I would do, I asked you guys this question by text. Who had the better signings, and would landing one or both of these guys have been better? Now, we thought Orlando was a team that we thought could potentially Orlando, and they didn't. Orlando Magic didn't Magic. I think they've had a beautiful offseason. I thought they had a good draft.
Yeah.
They signed two guys that we actually talked about. They re-signed their guys, Mo Bamba and Gary Harris. Now, Gary Harris got 2 years, $26 million. There were people who thought he was going to get as low as like maybe $8 million a year, and there was some people who thought he was going to get as high as 18 a year. He landed kind of in that middle, about 13 a year. Veteran guard, 3-point shooter, ties to home. It was somebody that I pondered is a little too rich for my blood, I think. But the Mo Bamba deal is the one that made me kind of just go, ooh. 2 years, $21 million. Started 69 games. I know people have had some questions about his health in the past, but you have questions about Marvin Bagley's health as well.
Right.
That was those were the two that I was looking at in terms of our big man signings. I know Bamba wound up becoming an unrestricted free agent.
Yes.
Yeah, they withdrew the tender or they never issued it, and that was one that I thought the Pistons should have kicked the tires on. I don't know what the deals were behind the scenes or what it is. I don't know if it was, hey, we're going to release this, but we're going to re-sign you. I don't know if that was what it was between the conversation.
It seemed to be that. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, it seemed because at first I heard that the Knicks were going to be all in on him, and then
he was tweeting stuff about New York too. He was tweeting all this stuff.
Yeah, then all of a sudden it just kind of died down, and I thought maybe the Pistons can get a shot at Mo Bamba, a 3-point shooting, floor spacing big. But if something was kind of already set up behind the scenes, I understand why it went the way that it went, because I know the Pistons weren't even like you said first on his social list, but. That was one that I thought would have been a really, really good signing for Detroit.
And those plans changed for me right after the draft when Troy was talking about, like, hey, plan A was ending the draft with Jaden, Ivey, and Jalen Duren. Like that, to me, I think he has so much confidence in Jalen Duren. I don't like, you got Nerlens Noel, you got Isaiah Stewart, you have Kelly Olynyk, you have some bigs. And Mo Bamba, you sign him for a 2-year, like you said, $20 million deal. Like, I wouldn't mind it. That's cheap for $10 million. I mean, you saw what Mitchell Robinson got, and he can't shoot. So I feel like with Mo Bamba, there's more value there. It just didn't intrigue me as much because I feel like Troy's kind of solving that issue. Everyone gives Troy flack for the amount of bigs he has at one time, but at the same time, I just don't know if adding Mo Bamba was the right move. I get the shooting, the floor spacing, but again, I mean, right. Jalen Duren, you kind of have your answer already in-house on a rookie contract, by the way. You don't have to pay him, $11, $12 million. But again, that's just me personally. I wasn't too concerned about it, but Mo Bamba, I didn't mind it. We talked about it before. I mean, he was on my list for sure.
Yep. I think
before
it's definitely
draft,
good value. But Rob, man, what are your thoughts on Mo Bamba? That 2 years, $21 million. If it wasn't something that was already kind of set up behind the scenes, what are you thinking, man, about him?
Yeah, I think there's value that's there that you can say, hey, we'll look at it and see, but it's sort of, how does it fit with everything else? Is he just a space-eating big, and offensively, what is he going to give you? That I don't think he fits with Stewart, and I think they're kind of committed to Stewart to try to see what's there, at least for another little bit. So, I mean, it'll work itself out. I'm not a big Mo Bamba guy.
Yeah.
Because, again, the injury concerns, you don't want to bring in a guy who has injury concerns in the midst of what you've got already.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well, man.
Yeah, but, hey, I want to ask everybody that's listening right now, listen, put into the comments, what do you think about this free agency? Were there any other, people are you hoping that Troy is still looking at? How are you hoping that he kind of pulls the rest of this team together? Let us know down in the comments. Let me know what you think about Mo Bamba, the Gary Harris deal. Obviously, we went more along the lines of what Kevin Knox, Bagley, and Nerlens Noel. So, obviously, Troy has his plans in place and everything set in motion. So, hey, just let us know what you think of that. Now, we got some more business to handle here. Anything else, fellas, as it relates to free agency and the outlook from here?
Put a cap on it.
Put a cap on it. Listen, guys, this is serious here, okay? This one's serious. I know that it gets, a little bit more difficult in offseason to get to the Cade Zone specifically. We make sure we bring Cade up in every pod because, bro, that's the face. That'd be like the Cavs not mentioning LeBron when he was there. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But this one, man, it got me. I'm still a little bit perturbed. I sat on it for a little bit. I didn't even make a graphic about it. I didn't even post it on Woodward Pistons or Woodward Sports. I was kind of pissed about it, man, because, look, I respect a lot of what Richard Jefferson says, and I respect what he tries to do. but he had the gall, people. Let me look into the camera. He had the nerve of him to say that in a redraft, Cade Cunningham wouldn't go number 1 or number 2, that it would go Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes. And the crazy thing is, he didn't even say who would go 3rd. He just kind of left it at that. And other people on the set were like, I still think Cade would go number 1. But it just seemed like people were afraid to really, really push back on that notion. And it's just like, can y'all imagine if that happened with LeBron? Can you imagine if people was just like, hey, you know what? I think Dwayne Wade was supposed to go. I think he would go 1 if this person go. Oh, like that's crazy to me.
No, it is. I have some. I think I have an explanation for you, because I think that it tells us, if anything, it tells us where RJ gets his information at. And I think you got to look at it like he's probably looking at the rookie of the year, the ladder, and seeing, Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley, and is like, those are the best 2 rookies. Like, he clearly doesn't watch Pistons games. Are we surprised? Like, he's covering games for ESPN. You think he's ever going to a Pistons game? He ain't covering nothing. He hasn't seen Cade Cunningham. So I'm not going to sit here and say, because he's wrong, but it's like he's wrong because he hasn't actually seen Cade on film. I think that's the problem. Like, he isn't getting the information.
He just spoke
to make a
so
good answer
authoritatively. And he was like, look, Scotty Barnes, he won Rookie of the Year, but it's all safe to say here, we all know he's the second best rookie because Evan Mobley would go number 1. And I'm just sitting here like, do you guys understand that Troy, he actually sat down and made that decision? That's what it came down to for him. And we know why he picked Cade Cunningham. I keep trying to tell people, as it relates to the Cavs, I believe even if the Cavs had an opportunity, just based on their team, they might pick Evan Mobley again. You see, they just gave the max to Garland. So they had their guard kind of in tow. So based on fit and the way that I've seen them kind of draft, they would have kind of done things.
You think Toronto would have took Scotty
and fit
over Cade?
No.
I don't think so either.
No. Not at
Hell
all.
no.
I think Evan Mobley is the question, but I believe Troy answered that. And then, I believe Troy made his pick based on his hunch, and I believe Cade Cunningham answered that.
Yeah.
We saw them playing. Cade, dog, do you know what's crazy about this? Is that the games that we know that you did see Evan Mobley and Cade Cunningham in together, shame on you, bro. Cade was like, no. Cade was like, I got him in the post. He was sending the help away, like, get out of here. And defending Evan Mobley in the paint. Yeah. Evan Mobley couldn't back Cade Cunningham.
Hey, RJ wasn't watching that.
We saw those games. We saw the wins. Wasn't Cade specifically the reason why we won one of them games? He did like everything down the stretch. Hit the big 3. That's where you get the meme.
And he
where
was the reason why we won a lot of those games, man. He was taking over a lot of games. But that's the point you're making. Like, how do you not see this, Richard, my man? Like, you watch enough NBA as it is. You know, if you're so familiar with Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley, bro, you should be just as familiar with the man who plays over in Detroit. But again, it says a lot about the market. That's my opinion on it.
I hope Cade was watching. Rod, anything, man, on that?
People see what they see. And it's just like we talked about with Rookie of the Year voting, is that people kind of want to take the quick way out and just kind of, well, hey, what's everybody else doing? Let me look and see what other people are saying about it. Oh, okay, well, it looks like Scotty Barnes. Because, I mean, Evan Mobley is that dude. Evan Mobley is that dude. But Cade, you can make an argument that the injuries kind of limited what Cade's exposure was and what he was able to do. But the numbers say a completely different thing. So even if you didn't watch and you just looked at the numbers and you say, okay, who's leading the rookies in scoring? All right, well, let me watch a game to just be a little informed on what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit tougher sell to me.
Yeah, RJ, just go check out a game in the month of March.
Yeah.
Go look at a game in the month of March and see what he did during that month and see what other rookie did it, please.
Bro, we need more Candace Parkers out there.
Yes.
We need more Candace Parkers. We need more KDs out there. I was excited to see Cade, as we kind of wrap up or continue on in this Cade Zone. I was excited to see him working out with some NBA stars, KD,
that's what
Kyrie,
matters.
And others, man. Like,
because they welcome him.
They welcomed him. These are guys who talked glowingly about him all season, and hey, in the end, he's out there and he's looking buffed up too. And I don't mean just the shades. I mean, he's looking jacked. He looked like he put on that weight, and that was one of the things he said this offseason. I am attacking strength. I want to make sure I can get bigger. I want to make sure that I'm actually earning foul calls and not the proverbial is he just bouncing off of players because he's not ready for the NBA physicality. It looks like he's attacking this thing seriously, and we couldn't be more blessed as Pistons fans to have a guy like Cade Cunningham, have players here like Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart who take it personally when they hear things like, oh, Cade needs a number 2. You know, in this draft. Let's see if Jaden Ivey can be that. I hope Sadiq Bey is sitting somewhere fuming. Like, y'all are crazy.
You didn't just see me get 50?
Y'all are tripping.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, y'all are tripping. Like, for real. Like, I'm hoping that B Stu is like, are y'all serious? All right. Okay. All right. We got a team full of big men, and y'all think that I'm not about to make my presence felt? Like, I'm really – and those are the types of guys you get. Like, a Rod, I sent him that clip, you know, because of the types of players that Troy gets and how I think he has a certain perspective of these guys. Way different than the ones we have way earlier. He's looking at these guys and he's seeing that's the alpha, man. Like, so you saw that clip, right? Okay.
Yep.
Throwing it between the legs,
dude,
dunking.
I die every time in that clip.
They sitting there looking.
every single time.
Jalen Green got his jaws open like, oh my gosh, he did that. And then Cade's like, nah, bro. Taps his chin.
Didn't Jalen mumble? He's like, I'll beat you.
But he didn't even just say it. He did. He like,
it's like when you want to say something, your mom yells at you and you like say something. You put your hand on your mouth and you say something and she's like, "What?" You're like, "Nothing."
Bro, and Tyrese Maxey's sitting there like, and that's what it is. You know, when these guys that Troy is hunting, like he went after Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart. Man, we know he spent his time saying, "All right, Cade," because. We hear him. He said, I spent some time looking at this matchup. This wasn't just push button Cade. Everyone thought it was between Cade and Jalen. He was like, Evan Mobley really intrigued me. He does a lot of things well, you know. But these guys that he gets, it's that chip on the shoulder that we saw the Going to Work Pistons carry, you know, or at least that we hear about if you didn't get to see it. And the Bad Boys Pistons, they feel disrespected. And Cade just came out and said, hey, look, they said if we're not winning, they're not going to really pay attention. So we're about to win.
That Rookie of the Year race taught him well. he got to be winning, I guess, for the first time ever.
Because he understands what he's doing. If you're going to come here and represent Detroit, you're pulling up more than just a team. It's you're fighting through notions, man. You're fighting through people who just say you're not something. Even as the number 1 pick, we just don't have to pay attention to you. That's wild to me, man. This is not Kwame Brown. Shout out Kwame Brown, no. Shout out Kwame Brown, bro. Look,
he just caught a stray. He just caught a stray
right. Anthony Bennett. Let's just get them all in
Anthony Bennett, like these guys, he's not that, man. He should have been covered. He was doing great things. Shout out again, Candace Parker. We're going to do what we can to make sure in this Cade Zone and make sure in this podcast that, you know, he gets his just due. But
yes, sir.
You know, I'm glad to see him down there in Summer League. Anything else on Cade before we talk about anybody at non-Pistons that we're looking forward to seeing in Summer League?
No, I'm excited for Braid Cade, man. He got the braids.
Braid Cade.
Yeah, I was just about to say he got the braids. He's about to be out here.
Braids, buffed up, man. He's out there as a celebrity, man. Superstar out there. But who you guys looking forward to seeing in Summer League? Other than Jabari Smith. You know, outside the Pistons.
Mine is, and Rod's going to love this one. It's Shaedon Sharpe, baby. Besides Jaden Ivey, of course. I got to, because a part of me, now that I'm doing this for a living and I've been covering this draft for extensively, like with you, with Sean, with everybody, you kind of get attached to certain guys. You really do. And I got attached to Shaedon Sharpe a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
I understand.
And you understand it, right? Me and you have had tons of conversations about this. Even before that with Jabari, I think Jabari was like me and yours first love, and then you still follow for him a little bit. So it's got to be Jabari and Shaedon Sharpe, man. Besides Jaden Ivey, just to see the what if. I always like playing that game. Like what did this player end up being? You know, we talked about him before the draft. Benedict Mathurin's another one, but yeah, just those guys.
Yo, Benedict.
Yeah, those are my two. Those are my two, and just interested to see what Chet really is, and the early returns are good or positive on that, but I want to see again if that stuff translates, and then as we get into the regular season, if that continues to.
Yep.
Yeah, because Chet looked like he was a man. I mean, he looked like out there just putting the ball on a string. I mean, it was crazy to see him. I watched him last night, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, my God, what this man could do. Yeah. Like, and we knew what he was capable of. It was really just the weight. For me, it was staying healthy. Yeah, that was the only thing. That's still the question. That's still the question, by the way. I mean, I know he has never missed a game through high school, but it's the NBA. Like, you're playing an 82-game season, a really physical league. But yeah, man, that's why I don't take too much. I like watching, like if Shaedon comes out and has 23 points or 24 points, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I told all y'all, I told you guys we should have took this man out of high school. But again, it's watching him grow, man. And that's the most exciting part about this whole thing.
Hey, look, if he comes out here and he has a great summer league, you don't have to come out here and say I told you, but we definitely got to talk about it.
We'll discuss it. I'm not going to be up here bragging or nothing, but I'll be up here like, hey, what about that? You see what
do you know? What do you know? Shade Sharp 25.
What do you know? What do you know?
Hey, look, I think this is one of the most intriguing and interesting summer leagues for me as a Pistons fan because it's because it's like the real first one in a long time for this team. With the off seasons kind of being shuttered the way that they've been, I'm really looking forward to this one. But we have a direction. You know, this summer league isn't about seeing if we pick like the correct players or the right players or anything of that nature.
Right.
We're sending multiple waves of players from multiple drafts who all have futures in this NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But we got guys who've made all rookie, and I believe that these two, Duren and Jaden Ivey will make all rookie teams this year. I will definitely stamp that. No matter if it's first or second, I will definitely stamp that. And that's what this is about. It's not Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren coming to a situation where we're hoping and depending on them. It's them coming in and learning from a young leader named Cade Cunningham. After what we've come through between the Going to Work Pistons till now, that's a crazy outlook because even during the Going to Work Pistons, other than Tayshaun Prince, it's not like the draft was a kind place for us.
Right.
And that's what I mean. This is the first time in my fandom that I'm sitting here looking at a team being built the way that the Golden State Warriors were built. We talk about the Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm starting to feel like this team has opportunity to be more in line with the OKC Thunder, the old OKC Thunder, and Golden State Warriors, who were built through the draft. And every summer league, it was more about the process than it was about, oh, here's our hero. It's like, no, this is another guy who's going to come in and work hard because we have a good foundation and a base. And that's what this summer league kind of means to me. You know, going
that's
out.
what you want.
Right.
I
think it's the same sort of thing, is that this is the last time you'll see this type of roster with Cade and with Sadiq. And last year I was excited to see Cade and Killian together with Sadiq. And the injury to Stewart, you didn't see the full force of it. But this year, at least for one game, you might be able to see that this is going to be a scary, scary roster, even without the veterans on it. But just here's that changing of the guard and that transition to having Cade and those guys be more the veterans on this team, and what Ivey and what Duren are going to look like. And again, like I said, I want to see Isaiah Livers. I want to see Buddy Boeheim. I want to see that they can be contributing guys who can come in and do something if you need them, because injuries happen. And we've seen it in the past couple of years that injuries are just a big part of this. But if you have Braxton Key, those guys can come in and show you something that just it makes you feel better about what the outlook is and what the scouting is, that, hey, these guys actually do have something. Buddy Boeheim didn't get drafted, but he led the ACC in scoring, and that's something that you can take from it.
Yep. Hey, and you know what? I'm hoping that these guys prove to be effective shooters. I really am. You know, Isaiah Livers, Buddy, I'm really hoping these guys show something. I know that we were kind of bantering them and throwing about like what's his name down in Miami? I don't know why his name just blanked, from University of Michigan, the shooter.
Oh, Duncan
Robinson, D-ball. I don't know why I just blanked.
Duncan Robinson.
You know, I know we tossed around names like that and shooters and such. Yeah, I'm hoping that these guys can find ways to be as effective shooters in their time, which Isaiah Livers showed flashes of that. And that's what I'm hoping to see in the summer league out of guys like that. And you're right, Rod. You know, it's an exciting time because this roster from top to bottom is chock full of guys who are going to be contributing to the Pistons organization one way or the other.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we've had rosters where we had 3 guys that were going to be on the roster, and then literally like the rest of the guys on the roster were guys we were never going to see again. Whereas this year, it's more or less a roster of guys that represent our future. And then after this year, we probably don't see rosters in the summer league like this again.
No.
You know, so it's a big summer, man. Any last words, gentlemen, before we wrap up?
No, I'm locked in. I got my game face ready for this Pistons Summer League, man. I'll be the first to tweet. No, I'm just joking with it.
Let's get it, man.
No, just people. This first game is at midnight Eastern time.
That's tough, Rod.
Be prepped and ready. It'll be 9 p.m. for me, so it'll be almost normal game time. But midnight. That's only for the diehards.
That's tough.
Man, I'll be falling asleep, and then I'll just hear Jaden Ivey posterize, and I'll jump right back up. Like, I gotta take a nap in between that couple.
I was gonna say, you take your old man nap in the afternoon, and about 8 o'clock take a little nap, get up about 11, then just start your pregame.
Yep.
Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Well, look, for the Woodward Pistons Podcast, I'm Detroit Kool-Aid. This is Mr. Everything, Jeff Freddy, and let's get that drum roll going for the legend, Detroit News Rob Beard.
The legend.
Definitely, man. Hey, and enjoy Vegas. You got to have to give us the stories when you get back.
Yeah, this will be a good week, good couple of days.
Definitely. Well, hey, all right, guys. Till next time, Woodward Pistons.